Come, Arnav.
Good morning, sir.
Please have a
Good
seat.
morning, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
When is
Sir.
your interview?
28th March.
You are from Bhopal, basically.
Yes, sir.
And your father was in LIC.
Yes, sir.
What are the various schemes of insurance available in the country? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm not sure of the names of the schemes, but I know what they are for. One is an accident insurance scheme. One is a life insurance scheme. And there is also an agriculture insurance scheme, Fasal Bima Yojana.
Are you aware of Insurance Regulatory Authority? Any idea? What do
Yes,
they
sir.
do?
Sir, they are responsible for the overall oversight on the insurance sector, both the life insurance as well as the general insurance.
So it's good to have regulatory authority.
Yes, sir.
For telecom, do we have any authority?
Yes, sir. TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of
What
India.
do they do?
Sir, they set the norms for the conduct in the telephone industry. They also set norms for the broadband connections, the mobile connections, as well as the captive connections of some companies.
Very good. You did fashion technology, National Institute of Fashion Technology. That's very interesting. From there to civil services. In what way this knowledge will help you to be a good civil servant?
Sir, although the direct application might only be in the textile and apparel industry, but in an indirect manner, I believe that some things that I have learned, for example, constant improvement, the notion of constant improvement in the textile industry is what I believe will help me in the administration. As well as, sir, there's the core concept of frugality as well as innovation, both going together in the textile and garment industry, which I think that I would bring in the civil services also, sir.
Good. You got some award for you designed leak-free swimsuit.
Yes, sir.
What is this special about it?
Sir, we designed a swimsuit which women could wear while menstruating also, so they could swim for the entire month.
But I thought that exists already, no?
Yes, sir, it exists in 2 or 3 countries, but they are not as effective as they were supposed to be. So we built a different design.
Achha, at the international level, Bangladesh seems to be doing better than us. Why? What is the reason? Export of garments and whatnot.
Yes, sir. We currently dominate the textile industry, but Bangladesh dominates the garment industry.
Now, what is the reason?
Sir, firstly, Bangladesh has an industry which is not as fragmented as ours. Our industry consists of a lot of MSMEs in different cities. So naturally, the logistics cost is compiled and the unit economics does not make sense. Secondly, sir, Bangladesh is also a least developed country. So they have favorable trade pacts with the US, with the EU, which is why their imports and tariff regime is much more favorable.
How
And
about
sir,
the
their-
labor cost?
So labor
Which
cost
is cheaper?
Bangladesh is 2 to 3 times cheaper, sir.
Okay, last question. You are fond of tabla.
Yes.
Huh? Tell me some eminent tabla players, living or in the past, dead.
Sir, currently in the living names, there's Ustad Zakir Hussain. He just got the Padma Vibhushan.
And his father?
Ustad Allah Rakha. Both are prominent in the Indian as well as Western music scenarios. There's also Pandit Anindo Chakrabarti. Sir, Ustad Ahmad Jan Thirakwa. So,
Have you heard of Mridangam in Tamil Nadu? I mean, South?
yes, sir.
Is there any similarity between the two? Tabla and Mridangam?
Sir, Mridangam is much more similar to Pakhavaj than Tabla. So, Tabla is, it consists of 2 separate instruments, Tabla. But Mridangam, as far as I know, is only a single instrument.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Arnav, you are from Madhya Pradesh, okay?
Yes.
You tell me 5 significant things about your state.
So firstly, we have the largest tribal population in the entire country. Secondly, we also have the largest forest area of the entire country. Thirdly, sir, we have the largest peninsular rivers in the country and the only two big western flowing rivers in the country. So thirdly, we are also a leading agricultural state. Our agricultural growth has been above 10% for the past decade now. And sir, fourthly, we are also making huge progress in the industry, automobile, pharmaceutical, as well as the textile industry.
You didn't say anything about your culture, about your temples, no?
Yes, sir, I might have missed that, but
They're not
we
important.
are also, they are very important, sir. I might
Okay,
have
it's okay.
missed.
You know, you were answering a question on Bangladesh. Why they are, able to export so much and doing better than India in the garment sector.
Yes.
I think you forgot to mention a very important point. That is, it has a sizable workforce. Women basically work in
Yes.
the garment industry, and as you know, they're very hardworking, very sincere. So the way they manufacture, the manufacturing sector, is very good actually, tremendous. I would put it that way. They are really truthful and very hardworking. So that is also one of the factors which you mentioned.
Yes.
I think least developing countries and all that. Okay, we'll
Thank
come
you,
to
sir.
the international arena briefly. Now tell me, were you happy with the outcome of the G20 meeting, the foreign ministers meeting?
Sir, more or less, yes, sir. We were not able to give a joint communique as we were supposed to, or we tried to. But sir, on the other hand, we will at least able to get all these countries on the same table. As well as, sir, we were also able to communicate what we want in the future, as well as put in our own strategic interest as a developing country and the leader of the South in the communication of the finance minister meetings.
Okay. I read somewhere in the newspapers that Pakistan probably expected an invitation, but they were not invited. Why do you think we didn't invite them? Or
Yes, sir. So, firstly, Pakistan has a very strong stand when it comes to the POK issue. Now, it has been a major issue between both our countries.
Pakistan has a stand on POK issue.
Sir, the our Kashmir issue and Article 370. It is against our strategic interest. Secondly, sir, they are shielding a lot of terrorists which are causing local militancy in Kashmir, and they are not accepting that they are doing so and not cooperating with us in the same said manner. Thirdly, sir, there is also CPEC in the Kashmir, in our Kashmir, which Pakistan is also not willing to give up. And sir, the current economic crisis and the FATF issue which are going on, all these compile to Pakistan not being invited.
Arnab, this will be my last question to you. Quad also met. Quad.
Yes, sir.
You are aware of the organization, Quad.
Yes, sir.
Some people, again, some analysts, they say that Quad is basically Quad was basically created, to kind of checkmate China. Do you agree with this view?
Sir, it is a common view in the geopolitical scenario, but I think that it is a short-sighted view, sir. When the Quad was formed, it was formed against the backdrop of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. So when the organization has roots, which is humanitarian in its basic cause, then we cannot say, sir, that it is against a particular country. And sir, in all the communication, official communications of the Quad, there has never been a single-minded focus on a single country.
But China sees it that way. China says that Quad was created basically, to check them.
Yes, sir. We can only make all the communications as transparent as we already have. So, if a country believes something, we can only engage in dialogue with them and try to cover our.
No. Stemming from my question, again, a small point I have. In Quad also, we hold divergent views.
Yes.
on matters of international importance. So, how do we function then as Quad?
Sir,
Say, I give you an example: Ukraine.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I think, sir, we might have a different view on a particular topic, but that does not mean that the entire relation of four nations hinges on that particular issue. All the four countries stand for peace, stand for law and order in in the Pacific Ocean as well as the Indian Oceans. All the four countries have many more reasons to be engaging with each other than a single issue on which they diverge. So I think, sir, the grouping is strong as it could be.
Thank you, Arnab.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Arnav, which are the challenges being faced by our economy, Indian economy, and which are the challenges which our Indian economy is likely to face?
Sir, the first challenge is inflation, sir. It has been above 6 to 7% for the past 3 years now, and both the CPI as well as the WPI. Secondly, sir, the crude oil is, as it is said, a macroeconomic stabilizer or destabilizer in India. So our dependence on crude oil. Thirdly, sir, our declining female labor force participation ratio. It is only 27%, 20 to 30% from the past 5 years. And sir, upcoming issues might be the supply chain dependency on China and the rising shipping cost in the wake of Russian-Ukraine war. That's it.
Pent-up demand is declining. Is it also one of the challenges which is being faced by our Indian economy at present?
Yes, sir. It is also a major issue.
What do you mean by pent-up demand, by the way?
Sir, when the COVID pandemic happened, we had to introduce 2 lockdowns, which is why people could not purchase what they wanted to, and their purchasing capacity also lied in their hand. This extra disposable income was spent after the lockdown when the economy normalized, which is also referred to as the pent-up demand.
Okay, likely to face monsoon. Could it be one of the challenges?
Yes, sir. If the El Nino happens this year, then we might have issues with our agricultural output.
Okay. Can we say that the budget presented this year is a brilliant mix of fiscal consolidation, growth, and inclusion?
Yes, sir.
How? Fiscal consolidation, growth, and inclusion.
Sir, as we can see, we have committed to a path of fiscal prudence, and we plan to achieve 4.5% of fiscal deficit by 2024-25, which has been clearly stated by the finance minister. Secondly, sir, I also see prudence in our increasing capital expenditure while accommodating the fiscal deficit or the fiscal prudence. Thirdly, sir, on the point of inclusion, we have clearly targeted our women in form of Mahila saving patra, one-time saving scheme. We have also targeted the Vishwakarma or the working part of our population. There is also inclusion of tribal population, the SC population, and all the poor population of our country, sir.
Can you tell me which are the 7 priorities as mentioned in the budget this year?
Yes, sir. The 7
Can
priorities.
you name them?
The Saptrishi priorities, sir. Sir, inclusive growth, infrastructure and investment, green growth, youth empowerment.
4.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, select any of these and tell me in detail about that particular priority, the budget proposal. Select any of these, any one of the 4 which you have just mentioned.
Sir, in the inclusive growth.
Yeah, inclusive growth. Go ahead.
Sir, there's PM scheme for the Vishwakarmas, as I mentioned earlier. It will be a targeted scheme giving branding, market linkages support for capital goods, as well as the consolidation of their fragmented industry. Secondly, sir, the Mahila Saving Patra, as I also mentioned earlier, there is a scheme for, I can only remember these two as of now, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
we are planning for 2047.
Yes, sir.
So what will be the scenario economically, socially in 2047?
Sir, economically as well as socially, we plan to be a developed country by 2047. We have also targeted in our recent budget the goal of inclusion of all groups in our country. We also plan to be an integral part of the global supply chain as well as the export market. And sir, we have also targeted some key sunrise sectors that we want to have expertise in. I think so.
And what about socially? What will be the population, young population, women empowerment?
Yes. So socially, we plan to harness our demographic dividend that will continue till 2041 and to up till 2050 or 2060s. Secondly, sir, we also plan to integrate women in our labor force much more than they are now. Sir, apart from the social angle, we also plan on making a sustainable growth. So, environment is a key component of our Amrit Kal vision, which will also empower all the groups socially.
You are from Madhya Pradesh, so geographically, how will you define Madhya Pradesh? What are the various geographical regions?
Sir, in the northwest region, there is Malwa. It is a plateau. As we come to the east, there is Bundelkhand, then Panna Plateau, then Baghelkhand. And as we come to the south, there's Satpura as well as Vindhya mountain ranges, and between those ranges, adjoining those ranges are Narmada as well as the Tapi rivers. And yes, sir, these are the major geographical divisions. Sir.
How will you define the ecosystem of Narmada? Because it's the main river for the Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
So, ecosystem of river Narmada.
Sir, Narmada is a peninsular river, a perennial peninsular river. As it comes to ecosystem, we have some key species like the mahseer or common freshwater fishes, sir. We also have some, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware about the exact names of the species.
Okay.
Adjoining the Narmada, comprising the ecosystem, are also the mountain ranges of the southern Madhya Pradesh, which covers the Balaghat area as well as the entire area of the tribal population, the deciduous forest, tropical deciduous forest. It includes sal trees, teak trees, some eucalyptus trees also. So
Recently, there was a hue and cry that the government has spoiled the river Narmada by basically extracting the sand mafias from. So, what is this problem?
yes, sir. Sand mafia, illegal sand mining is a big issue in Madhya Pradesh, as it is in other states. It is said that some companies mine the sand without taking permissions, which is why the entire ecosystem of our Narmada river is under threat. So when the sand is mined, there's not the species are impacted. The dust particles in the water increase. There is also increased sedimentation when it comes to dams, and the adaptive capacity of the entire ecosystem decreases, sir.
So, we have seen the fate of the Sri Lankan economy.
Yes, sir.
So, how can we protect ourselves by learning the lesson from that
Sir,
economy?
yes, sir. Sir, firstly, we need to make sure that unlike Sri Lanka, we do not excessively depend on importing our essential goods. For example, they import wheat, rice, they import all the crude oil and also the refined oil, not just crude oil. Secondly, sir, we need to make prudent political as well as policy decisions. For example, banning fertilizer import impacted their domestic agricultural output in a big manner. Thirdly, sir, we also need to keep a stable domestic security scenario. For example, the country Sri Lanka was majorly dependent for the foreign exchange on tourism, but the Colombo church blast because of domestic security lapses.
Last question. Recently, we had the election in the Northeast.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you see the outcome of the election results?
Sir,
What are the indicators?
So firstly, it is very encouraging that all the states have above 80% participation in the voting, which is a clear indicator of trust in domestic as well as political system. So we also see that in 2 of the 3 states, there is a national party being voted in states. So we see a converging national vision appealing to the common voter, even in the Northeast region, which was not seen until now. And sir, we see that major political parties had developmental agendas in their political manifestos, which is also a very encouraging sign, focusing on development and not just on the local security as well as ethnic scenarios is a very encouraging sign, sir.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
We'll call you after 2 minutes. Huh?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But we didn't ask him. Come, Arnav,
Yes, sir.
please sit down. You are a very good candidate. You still have time. So
Yes, sir.
we'll give you some roadmap how to prepare yourself. You have almost 4. One is the current economic situation is very important. I
Yes,
hope
sir.
you are reading some economic daily. Are you reading Business Standard or Mint or anything?
No, sir, I've subscribed to a few newsletters on my mail, but I'm not reading
No,
a
you
major.
better start because it's very important. Every
Yes,
now
sir.
and then there is something or other.
बजट सेशन भी दोबारा से शुरू
हाँ, budget session भी. So that is one economic daily you must read. Then the current international situation. Member also asked about G20. About G20 little more, you know. And so on that. Now, regarding fashion technology, it's a very important subject, you see, what role it can play, etc. And what is the current status. Now, there is an annual report of the Ministry of Commerce. And there are textiles, sorry.
Ministry of
Therein,
Textile.
there's a chapter on fashion technology. Just have a look at it, what government has done, etc.
Sir,
It's available on the website.
I
You
read
should
the
know.
entire
Yeah, you
report,
do
sir.
that. And then the RBI every now and then comes out with something or other. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
On inflation, etc. One thing I noticed, you said, as I mentioned earlier, as I said earlier, don't do all that. Repeat it again.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Don't say kindly recall, etc. You know, it's a
Like
very
I
formal
told you,
phrase.
sir. No, don't say
It is
that.
not done. Okay, you may repeat,
Thank you,
but don't say as I mentioned earlier. So avoid those things. And then we, for want of time, we didn't ask you anything on sociology. The sociology you should know the basic concepts, Sanskritization, etc., etc. The caste, the caste census being done in Bihar.
Yes,
How
sir.
relevant it is it good thing to do? You know, things. Otherwise, I think you are very good. You want to add anything?
I will just add one or two
Please,
points.
please.
Arnav, you have put Indian Foreign Service as your
Oh,
third
acha.
preference.
Oh, I
Third
didn't see
preference, yes,
that.
sir.
Third preference.
Is it given here?
Yes, sir.
So what I suggest is that you select a few topics.
Oh, acha, acha. Sorry.
First is the Russian-Ukraine, the war, conflict, whatever, Although our official stand is we call it conflict. Read about it, what is happening. And then second one is G20, which is, as you know, the foreign ministers just concluded the meeting, but the main summit will be there.
Yes, sir.
And after that, and before that, probably you will have the SCO. So follow that, SCO, what SCO. Then a little about Arab-Israeli conflict, Palestinian-Israeli conflict. What is happening? Because you know that
Yes.
now Israel, there is a new government and they're taking a very tough stand. So read about all that. Then also about Brexit.
Yes, sir.
What has happened now in the UK.
Yes, sir.
And also about the BBC controversy.
Yes, sir.
They may ask you about that.
Yeah.
So follow that very carefully. Somebody will say that why was the BBC office raided by the income tax people. Not raided, but anyway, they went there and they were looking for some papers, whatever it is. So you can take whatever stand you want to take, but if you ask me, my stand will be, look, tax matter is a different subject altogether. Okay, if somebody has not paid tax, he has to pay tax.
Yes, sir.
So income tax department has every right to go and question. That is one.
Yes.
And that this tax thing also, what has not probably come out in the papers, it is not a sudden thing. It has been going on for the last 2 years. So it's not related to that BBC commentary.
Yes, sir.
The documentary which they brought out
Yes, sir.
about Gujarat. So, I mean, but you
Sir,
can
can
take
I
different.
can
Tell
I
me.
say that the only thing is that the timing of
the timing, some
could have
people say,
been better.
yeah, because why did they do it now? But it's not that it happened just now.
Yes, sir.
It has been there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then again, you see, this matter was raised by the British Foreign Secretary,
Yes,
counterpart of our External Affairs Minister. He raised the subject. But the answer was, look,
Law has to be followed.
no, he also made a mistake. He says, we fund BBC to some extent. He said that BBC is funded by the government.
Yes, sir.
So, then what happens? This was not an independent organization then.
Yeah.
So that point also you can keep in mind. There may be a question on that.
But can I say this, that sir, the only thing is that the timing could have been
yeah,
kept
you
in
can
mind.
take a stand saying maybe, because of the timing part of it,
Yes, sir.
maybe questions are being raised.
Yes.
But otherwise, we are fair.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's right. For example, it could have happened in USA or it could have happened in UK also. Could have happened to one of our news organizations.
Yes, sir.
So there's nothing wrong about it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Arnav, I'm meeting you second time. Huh?
Yes, sir.
I met you earlier.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to see improvement.
Thank you,
और
sir.
further improvement उस time तक होना चाहिए.
Sir, daily कोशिश तो कर रहा हूँ.
So identify probable questions from your DAF and current affairs as already suggested and prepare those questions very well. और थोड़ा सा smiling face, no tension. आप आंसर दे भी रहे होते हैं, सही दे रहे होते हैं. Even then ऐसा लगता है as if you are under tension.
हाँ, sir.
ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए. थोड़ा सा पूछना है ना, जब आंसर नहीं भी दे रहे हैं, even then टेंशन नहीं रखना है.
Yes, sir. I'll work on it further, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, do I need to focus on the Raisena dialogue, the small outcomes of the Raisena
Yes,
dialogue?
yes. Very important. Excellent dialogue is very important.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's basically sponsored by Ministry of External Affairs.
Yes, sir.
It is all external affairs.
Yes, sir. And that's,
And about your state,
yes.
Yeah.
know as much as possible about
You,
MP, your own state.
Yes.
Because I asked you about your state, significant things. You never mentioned about your temple, never mentioned about your culture. You
Yes, sir.
mentioned, you began by saying tribes.
Yes, sir. I should have mentioned.
Yeah,
sir.
I should have done that.
Definitely.
Tribes should have come
Okay.
in between maybe.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Sir, just one thing, sir. The hand movement,
No,
the
no,
physical
no.
stature.
That's
Don't worry too
ऐसे
much.
टाइप करके नहीं बैठना. आप बैठे भी नहीं थे. आप
हाँ,
बैठे
ऐसे
थे. ऐसे करके नहीं बैठना.
the essential difference is
थोड़ा
here,
बस ठीक है.
here you have a gap.
Yes,
In
sir.
UPSC you won't have a gap. It's a oval shaped table, So you won't have a gap between the table and yourself, So that way, how you keep your hand, it has to be below the table anyway. So it doesn't matter. But don't bother about small
Don't be
things.
conscious about that.
Yeah,
Because
don't
otherwise,
be-
you'll be all the time, put
ध्यान उधर जाता है.
आपका उधर ही रहेगा.
No.
And be very careful about, you may have 1 or 2 mock at the gap of 10 or 12 days. Don't have it every next day.
Yes,
Different people will tell you different things.
Yeah,
You'll get
confuse
them.
you.
Instead you read, especially on the economic front, Mint or business standard, read little more
Yes, sir.
seriously. Take down facts and figures, GDP, inflation, etc. Wherever, read it. An economic survey, for want of time, we didn't ask you. Some highlight you
नहीं
should.
पूछा था. बताया.
Okay.
Pucha, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.